Hey, what's up guys? Today I'm doing an unboxing and first look of the Japan Glove Market Pro Series version 2 boxing gloves. So check it out. Hey, what's up guys? Carlo here. Today I'm doing an unboxing and first look of the Japan Glove Market Japanese Pro Series version 2 boxing gloves. These retail for $144 on their website. They're available in 16-ounce lace-ups in a black and silver colorway. And these are the second release of these gloves, and I believe that they've improved it over the outgoing models. So they sold these on their first rotation, sold out of them, and now they came out with a second release, which I jumped on and purchased these gloves. Now, before we open this box up to take a look at the gloves, let's go over a couple of the small details when it comes to these gloves. First things first, these are supposed to be a Japanese iteration glove. So essentially, these are supposed to be like a version of Winning. Now, was ironically, their website, they actually sell authentic Winning equipment. So gloves, accessories, and other Winning gear on their website. They also sell Mexican equipment such as New Sporting, Hernandez, and whatever is available at that time. So Japan Glove Market is actually a company based out of Australia. So I feel like they essentially made these gloves, in my opinion, to kind of fill that void because Winning boxing gloves are currently really hard to get a hold of, and they're extremely overpriced in my opinion right now. There's a lot of scalping going on where you find resellers that are just basically buying up a ton of the inventory, and not for the sake of using it for their own training, but just for the sake of making money off of Winning, which I don't agree with. So you're seeing a lot of companies just buy up a ton of the inventory, and then they double the price for what they purchased it at. You know, it could have been a while ago, it could be more recently, but that's essentially what they're using Winning as now, as a money-making tool, rather than people being able to buy Winning at their MSRP or their suggested retail price and use it for training, what they're intended to do. So essentially what I believe that they ended up doing with these gloves is they wanted to make their version, their iteration of a Japanese glove like we've seen other brands do in the past. Obviously Ring to Cage, Combat Corner. I mean, there's so many out there that have done a Winning style glove. So that's essentially what they did with this glove. So let's go ahead and cut this box open and take a look. When I ordered these gloves, it took a little while to get because it came from overseas, international. So that's something to kind of keep in mind when you order these gloves, is they are coming from Australia. Now, if you do live over in Australia or closer to Australia in the South Pacific, you know, in the Philippines or just anywhere in Asia, that it's probably going to be a lot quicker for you to get your gloves just because of the geography of it. But if you're here in the States, it did take, I think, about 2 weeks total for me to receive these gloves. Now, keep in mind, I kind of expected that, knowing that these gloves were coming from Australia. So my expectations were already that the gloves would take a little while to get. So first things first, cut the box open. It shows the gloves right there. They also included a shirt on the inside. Let's see what kind of shirt this is. All right, put this little bag to the side. Size L, so it just says Japan Glove Market, kind of like in a script lettering. So pretty cool looking shirt. Black and white, perfect for use at the gym. So I got that. And sliding these out. So the first glove right there is the left glove. And the next is the right. And there you have it. So here are the gloves. I'm gonna start off with the left glove. The leather on here definitely has more of a satin to semi-gloss finish to it. Full leather construction. I'm assuming these gloves are probably made in Pakistan. I don't actually see a line or a tag on the inside anywhere, but that's my best guess. It does say JPN for Japan Glove Market, that logo on the back. black and silver. The silver on here has a little bit more of a subdued look. It's not metallic. So you have that there. And that looks good all the way through. You have white piping, very similar to Winning, as well as far as the piping contrast goes between the white piping. That's what Winning does as well. And just like Winning, they also put the weight of the glove on the grip bar. The grip bar on here is firm, but it's kind of small. Just from feeling it from the get-go. Obviously, when I put my hand into the glove, I'll be able to tell how that feels. And no ventilated holes on the palm side or on the inside of the thumb. And just like Winnings, you do have the double segmented cup. So the back of the wrist support, you have basically a more smaller in height right there, and then one that's a little bit thicker. And then the stitching on here looks decent. You can see that it comes across, but it's a little crooked in certain spots. The laces on here are round laces with plastic tips. So similar in the fact that they are round like Winning, but Winnings, authentic Winnings don't actually have any tips at the end. They're just they're completely cut off. Matter of fact, I actually have a pair of Winnings right here. I'm gonna put next to these gloves here in a second. So that is the left glove, but just from the naked eye, it looks very similar. The shape of the glove looks really similar. The turned in, rolled in thumb looks very similar to authentic Winnings. The piping, the angle of the grip bar looks very similar. Obviously, they mimic the stitch pattern. The stitching on here is a little bit tighter compared to the Winning. I feel like the Winnings are a little bit wider, not by much. And then obviously Winnings, you're going to get a different degree, in my opinion, of craftsmanship in terms of like just a small attention to detail when it comes to the glove. And again, I actually have an authentic pair right here. I'll put next to these gloves here in a second. The inside liner is a polyester satin liner like Winning, and it's almost exactly the same colorway. It's like a dark navy blue as well. So they kind of even mimicked the liner. The back of the wrist support is about 1 inch of medium density foam padding, and the inside is about 1/4 of an inch of medium density foam padding. Again, very similar in wrist padding like Winning. White piping at the bottom right there and on the palm side. So there you have it. I'll show you guys the right glove as well. So you have the right and the left glove next to each other. And again, I'd say the stitching on here definitely could be improved in certain areas right there where they double back. I know there's a technical term when it comes to a seamstress or someone that sews for the double backing right there. Again, very similar in shape to Winning, size, and aesthetics. Padding is about medium in firmness and density, so it's definitely not stiff and definitely not ultra soft. And you're looking at maybe about 1 3/4 inches to maybe 2 inches in total thickness when it comes to the padding. Now, authentic Winnings. This is not going to be a comparison video. I'll be doing a comparison video in a separate video. I know I just said video a lot of times, but here are some authentic 16-ounce Winnings. I've never used these. These are brand new. No, I'm not selling them. I know you guys are going to ask that. But these are a brand new authentic pair. So next to them, you can see that the authentic Winnings are a little bit taller and a little bit wider than the Japan Pro Series gloves. But you can see where the inspiration definitely came from. The thumb, the angle of the finger compartment, the depth is kind of similar. You can see the Japan glove market is maybe a little bit deeper, a little bit more turned down. And then the thickness is pretty similar in terms of the thickness over the knuckles. I would say that the Winning padding is a little bit more dense, meaning that when you push down on it, say you're using your thumb and you're pushing down, the Winning has more resistance, where the Japan glove market's a little bit softer. Not by much, but it's noticeable. Coming to this side, you can see same thing with the thumb. Thumb position is pretty close, or they mimicked it. And again, you can see the Japan glove. Again, this is 16 and these are 16, so it's a little bit smaller than the 16-ounce Winnings. You know, I guess you could argue that these are a little bit more like a 14-ounce winning. Like if you got a pair of 14-ounce winnings, this would probably be closer in size to the 14-ounce winnings rather than the 16-ounce winnings. But again, you can see how they mimicked the piping even around the base of the thumb. The base of the thumb piping on the winning is a little bit more flared out all that way, where this one's a little bit more pulled towards the thumb. And the angle of the grip bar. Winning grip bar is a little bit higher, a little bit more pronounced than the Japan Glove Market one as well. But wrist padding is very similar too. So, you know, the wrist support padding about an inch on the back and about a quarter of an inch on the winning. And it's pretty similar with the Japan Glove Market one. And then I showed you guys a liner. Obviously, Authentic Winnings has that dark navy blue liner on the inside. But the stitching pattern, again, on winnings is tighter, meaning, or should I say on winnings is wider, not tighter. So you can see just in between where the needle goes through the leather and comes back out. Authentic Winnings typically have a tighter, or I keep saying tighter, wider, a wider pattern. Where other gloves that try to mimic it, sometimes it's a little bit closer in grouping. The other thing I showed you guys earlier was on the back of the Japan Glove Market, the stitching on here was kind of sloppy. Even the double backing was done a little bit sloppy, kind of crooked. You know, it's more of an aesthetic, but look at the winnings. I mean, just precision, perfect. Look at that. So, I mean, that's what you're essentially paying for. That's your expectation with winnings, but you're also paying like 4 or 5 times the amount for these gloves. So anyhow, we'll do another separate video where I really get into the details between the two gloves, but I just wanted to show that to you guys just because I was excited to get these gloves and see how they compare. So slide my hand into the glove. Liner feels really comfortable on both, and thumb position feels good. Opening and closing my hand, I'd say, is semi-broken in. I wouldn't say that these are extremely soft, nor are they super stiff, but it's going to take a little bit of time to break these in. I'd say that these are probably like 70% broken in, but the more you use them, you'll soften them up. One thing I do notice right off the bat is the finger compartment in the right glove is more narrow. This one right here is more narrow than the left. So you can see just the width of this finger compartment is a little roomier compared to this right glove. It's a little bit more narrow. So that's a little bit of a concern right there for somebody that has bigger hands than me, that it might be tight. And also the left thumb, the base is a little bit on the tight side as well. Thumb position is great. When you make a fist, it doesn't pull down on the tip of the thumb. Liner feels good, no excess liner bunching up around the knuckle or in the finger area. But it's definitely more of a snug fitting glove, especially the left one. You can feel the grip bar. I just wish it was a little bit larger, so it was a little bit more pronounced when you make a fist. And wrist support feels pretty good as well. And the thumb does feel similar to winning. The hand compartment, though, definitely feels a little bit more cramped than the Authentic Winnings. Which brings up my next point is they currently only sell these in 16-ounce lace-ups, which pretty much is what everybody gets. Not many people really get Velcro. Well, they get them now because you take what you can get when it comes to winning at this point, right? But Velcros were never really popular when it came to winning. Everybody would get the lace-up versions. But it would be nice for them to have like an 18, 14, 12, the smaller sizes, as well as one larger than this one. And then they currently only offer it in this black and silver colorway, which I think looks sharp. I don't mind it, especially, you know, you can do worse. You can do with some crazy like neon colorway, which nobody would like, but it'd be nice if they offered other colorways as well. But in terms of this being how close to winning they are, you know, that's really yet to be seen. I'll have to put these into my rotation and start training with them and really feel how the padding performs when I'm training with them. But you could definitely tell, in my opinion, that they got themselves a pair of Authentic Winnings, deconstructed them, and then made their own version of it. From an aesthetic standpoint, thumb and overall feel, I'd say that it feels pretty good. I wouldn't say they're exactly like winning, but you can definitely see where they're trying to get it as close as they can. Again, I can't give you my full review of these right now because it's too early, and I haven't obviously used them yet. but I'm optimistic about them, especially because the market is flooded with Japanese-inspired gloves that are all trying to compete for that top spot of being, hey, because you can't get winnings, get these instead. So there's a lot of those gloves out there. And currently right now, out of all the gloves I've used, I would say the Combat Corner, the Cream, the TJ1s, the training versions, were probably the closest when it came to having a glove that was very close to winnings. And I would say that these are probably going to be pretty close as well. But again, we'll have to see. I'll start training with them and then eventually give you guys my review. But if you guys have any questions or comments, you guys know what to do. Put them down below. I'll put the link in the description box where you can find these Japan Glove Market Pro Series version 2 boxing gloves. See you guys later. Peace.